stock market is not the economy.
Whoa!
What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, November the 16th. Well, we just came out of another crazy week. Markets were wild, is the top in, but as we opened up with, the stock market is not the economy. And the sooner you learn that, the better off you will be. They have nothing to do with each other. Eventually, both could be good, they both could be bad. But what the stock market is doing today, or what is done, let's say over the last year, versus the economy, they have gone in two completely different directions and actually kind of forming a K. Again, the wealthy have done well and the poor have done not well, forming a K, the K-shaped economy. So again, you cannot use the stock market as a bellwether for the economy. It always starts with looking into your own personal finances, looking into what's going on with you, and you can assume that there are many people in the same position as you are yourself. And I think you'll find out that if you're in the bottom 80%, things are not great. We'll find out. But of course, foreclosures jumped 20% in October, which tells you that there's an issue. Okay. Now, again, we continue and love to ignore the problems. We love to put our heads in the sand as a rule. But again, foreclosures up 20%. We talked about this last week. When have you ever remembered UPS and Amazon laying off over 60,000 people before Christmas? Okay. I think the ADP pulse of net private jobs is down 11,000 a week. Another not good sign. Okay, we're not keeping jobs, we're losing jobs. And you see that these jobs are not going to be replaced. We have no replacements because, of course, through our government over the years, they have destroyed the opportunity for small business. They have made it very hard for small business to compete. But you now have Verizon. Verizon, pretty profitable company, pretty good company, laying off 1.5% of their workforce, which is about 15,000 jobs. So once again, we have some issues. Now, again, think about it. How are those going to pay the bills? We have all this stuff with the welfare programs, which again, welfare was not meant to be a lifestyle. Welfare was meant to be a supplement to those who were desperately in need. And what they are finding out, which is what we have said here many times, is within the welfare system and the SNAP program, there's an enormous amount of fraud, an enormous amount of stealing. And of course, what does our government care? I mean, you just had Nancy Pelosi, who came into office worth about $3 million, retired worth $133 million. Now, you tell me where all that money came from. That money came from you and me. That money came from the taxpayers. And again, it's not just the Democratic Party and Nancy Pelosi. I assure you that if we had disclosure on McConnell's wealth, we would see the same thing. Again, the bottom line is no human being in their right mind takes 30 or 40 million dollars of their own money to get elected to a $200,000 a year job without the benefit of what's on the back end. So again, keep that in mind. We got all kinds of issues, but the new Operation Affordability, where Trump is cutting tariffs, the trade deals to lower food prices for the midterms. Of course, he's doing it for the midterms. Listen, the real problem with our political system is we don't have term limits. The real problem with our political system is that they don't have our best interests at heart, the voter, the taxpayer. They have their own best interests. And Trump is no different in this case. He's trying to give the power to the Republican Party. And again, I'm a libertarian. I would like to see more center. I would like to go back 40 years to where we were more center. But the balance is that why should we have to go through all this when there is so much waste and things here that we could be better by ourselves if we took care of the waste? That's where I have a problem. You're starting to see restaurants suffer as consumers are ditching the opportunities to go because they can't afford it. I mean, let's face it. You go to a restaurant I mean, even McDonald's. I mean, you can't feed a family at Fort McDonald's for under $30. Okay. So again, once again, we're dealing where the consumer is being outpriced because because of just natural cost. And you go to the other side of the business, and in this case, the farming side of it, they're being screwed because if you're a grain farmer, you're barely breaking even if you're making money at all. So we have that stagflation to be worried about. Okay. Um, and does anybody find this surprising that the Chinese Communist Party or the CCP has been manipulating mineral prices? Again, why are we, the USA, manufacturing our drugs? Why are we dependent on China for anything? Okay. Our costs are high enough. And don't kid yourself. Okay. If we did manufacture here, which the problem is our people don't want to work. Okay, let's get to it. Okay. But if we did our own product, I mean, we don't need anybody else. If we did our own, okay, the cost would not be, it wouldn't take as much hit on inflation, so the costs wouldn't be up as high. There's a whole formula to go by, and we don't have time to go to here, but again, just think about that. Okay. And again, think about the control that we give up. Think about why are costs so high? Why is our inflation so high? And of course, the Fed, which now the odds of a rate cut coming are only 50%. Uh, we don't want rate cuts. Again, have you noticed that the notes and the bonds and the mortgage rates continue to go higher? Okay. So despite the Fed rate cut, which is the rate cut is for the banks to borrow from the Federal Reserve. The rate cut has nothing to do with the consumer. Okay. So that let's get that clear so that we understand. And also the rate cuts are more for what they call the short end of the curve. Okay. But since when the Fed cut rates 2 weeks ago, the 10-year notes were 3.99. As of Friday, the 10-year notes were 4.15. So they've gone up, okay, and they continue to go up. So mortgage rates continue to go up. Of course, that brings us to our next potential problem, okay? The housing market. Now, I live in Las Vegas, and as I drive around, I see a lot of new construction. And what am I seeing now? Mortgage rates, 3.97%. Deals on houses. Why do you think those things are happening? Well, it's because the builders are concerned they're going to get stuck with too much inventory. So they're willing to take a loss on the paper, okay, and they're figuring they get subsidized. But that's telling you, once again, we are oversupplied, okay? The IRS raises retirement limits for 2026. Well, the real problem with raising how much you can put in to your retirement account is that unfortunately, most Americans have trouble saving for an emergency, let alone saving for their retirement. And most Americans today, okay, don't have enough that they can't take advantage of the extra. Okay. And of course, we continue to hear about the problems with Social Security. How come we don't hear about the problems with welfare? And welfare is going to never run out of money, but Social Security is. That doesn't make a lot of sense. You want to talk about things that signal a weak and a bad economy? Look at the price of crude oil. Okay. Plus the fact that we have an oversupply. But crude oil, the lack of demand for crude oil, remember, crude oil is about, or fossil fuels, are about 80% of our economy. Well, if there's not a demand, that means that you're not buying as many groceries, you're not buying as much of this, you're not driving. So again, the crude oil price, although we'd like to see it cheaper because we want to pay less, but the demand for crude being lower means that the economy is also weakened. Okay. Um, Again, you look at the interest rates, you look at the long-term yields, all the things that are not good. And then, of course, you've got Chinese weaponizing AI. And the new AI scams are phenomenal and they're scary because, again, as we know, most scams are designed to go after those who really don't comprehend them. And I think it's a sad state of affairs as to what we're looking at. And I think that there needs to be done so much more things done to protect those who really can't protect themselves, especially the elderly. Okay. And I think that we let too much of this stuff go by. without stopping it. We have too many controls on some things and not enough on others. And I think those are a lot of the bigger issues. But at the end of the day, okay, remember, the government is not taking care of you. They are taking from you. The Federal Reserve is nothing more than the cartel, okay, that is taking, again, that has created this overall problem over the years of inflation, okay? So if they cut rates again, it's a moronic move. Yes, I know President Trump wants to cut rates because, again, he thinks it will stimulate the little guy, but it won't because the little guy can't borrow money anyways. So at the end of the day, it's all a bunch of horse shit. It needs to be stopped. We need to grow up and understand that we have to make this country strong by creating businesses and jobs and allowing people to get back into the system versus destroying them. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, November the 16th. Let us step out here for a break, and we'll be back with our market report right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, kids? What's going on? And of course, obviously, we have sponsors for the show, and our sponsors are brokerage partners. And again, just in full disclosure, I have other brokers that I use, but the ones that I recommend for my members and for my folks and my peeps is, of course, TRADIER Brokerage. And this is $10 a month. That's really all I should have to say. But all of our automation goes through TRADIER. $10 a month flat saves me over $100,000 a year. I don't know how anybody could not be using them in some way, shape, or form. It makes absolutely no sense to pay for something that you can get the same thing from somebody else. But that is up to you. But TRADIER Brokerage, their information is on at the end of the presentation. You'll see it. Website, Capital Trading Group, commodities and futures, greatest customer service, great company, does a lot of partnerships with us. Love them. Think they're great. Capital Trading Group, CTG. And of course, our new investment and our new partners in the Joy of Mom, which is an app and a place for moms and others to go talk about things that they want to talk about and get information they want to get it for. It's a great view and would love you to check it out. Right now, the app is for free, so check it out, thejoyofmom.com. And of course, our high school program, which again, we're trying to help our youth with financial literacy, which is again another problem in this country because our teachers don't want to teach it, but that's a story for another day. In the meantime, let us get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and of course, our market report. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz. And of course, it's Sunday, November the 16th. And we've talked about this for the last couple of weeks, and maybe a top has been put in the market. And I'm ready to call a top. Okay. Again, it doesn't mean I'm going to be right. Again, I want to be clear. I'm not doing anything about it right now. But based on the trading action of the last 2 weeks, I am ready to say that I believe there's a 85% chance the tops are in. Okay. And what do I get to say that? Well, we talked about, if you recall, if the markets failed to make a high. Well, they did fail to make a high. They made a number of moves trying to get there. But during the last couple of weeks, since the original high was put in, they have printed a couple of new lows from this recent move. To me, that indicates the tops are in. If you look at the action on Friday, they took them all the way down and made somewhat of a double bottom 2 Fridays back to back. Okay. And rallied, but again, rallied back to and made a lower high. So overall, forget about news. From a technical standpoint, to me, it looks like we've seen a top. Okay. And again, I'm not telling you to do anything about it because I'm still long. Okay. It doesn't mean that just because I think or I see things, there'll be opportunities. Don't force yourself to get in just because Bubba says he thinks there's a top. Watch the tape, watch the market trade. You'll have plenty of opportunity. The biggest problem with traders and investors is the lack of patience and the lack of seeing confirmation of what they believe. In the meantime, markets were kind of wild, but basically for 2 weeks we've gone nowhere. Yes, they've been kind of wild, but basically we continue to just kind of consolidate in mid-range. The internal workings look kind of shitty, but at the end of the day, we haven't gone a lot of places. I mean, I would say Friday to Friday, we closed almost exactly in the same spot. So overall, other than it being seasonally a bullish time of year, which again, that could contain, the top could, just because the top is in, if it is, doesn't mean that they're going straight down. And they could certainly vacillate around here until, the next 6 weeks. So in the meantime, in the four major indices, we're long a couple of them. And again, there you go. I'm telling you I'm long, and even though I do think I see a top, okay? But again, the math doesn't add up yet, so we're going to stay long. As we look at the dollar continues to try to push higher. Now, we don't trade it, and we only don't trade it because it's too expensive to pay the criminals in New York. So, but again, we'd be short the dollar if we did trade it. Euro currency is struggling. We don't trade. We're flat right now. Notes and bonds have been lower every day, and that just tells you interest rates are going up, which we talked about in our opening. We're flat. Bitcoin's getting crushed. It's really in trouble now. I mean, not in trouble. It's in a bear market. Okay. Now again, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. This is something that's natural, but Bitcoin has broken even my wildest support dreams of recent history. It's now down in the 90s. We are long Bitcoin here. Gold got clobbered on Friday along with silver and platinum. We're flat those across the board and do believe there's a little bit more room to the downside. But of course, the inflation probably will kick them higher. We'll see, but we are flat. Copper was lower. We are still flat. The grain markets have had a nice little run, but we're short wheat and we're short soybeans and flat corn. Cattle got hammered again. And of course, I said a couple of weeks ago there was a high, and you can see that the highs are definitely in. No position right now, but we'll sell all rallies. Hogs looking for a spot to buy somewhere around 78 cents. Natural gas was lower. And of course, we're short, and crude oil was higher. I mean, it's actually flat for the week, but it was a little bit higher on Friday. We're long again. I'm looking to sell it, but it's of course long right now. The bottom line is that again, opinions don't mean anything. The tape, the chart tells you where you should be and where you should be positioned for that period of time, depending on the time frame you're trading. So just be careful. We're still quiet. Volume's still lacking. Not a lot to do, not a lot to get excited about. So I urge everybody to be very cautious and careful in here as we search and struggle to see some more volume. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz. We're going to step out here for our final break and be back with our commentary and, of course, my great football picks, which have not been great. Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, just remember our sponsors, Capital Trading Group, TRADIER Brokerage, The Joy of Mom, and of course our high school program. And let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line for my commentary and my football. Welcome back. It is Sunday, November the 16th, Bubba's Bottom Line. And, we all know that we just had a new mayor elected in New York, communist, Jew hater. And what I don't understand is how a city like New York, with a pretty good sized Jewish population, could vote in a Jew hater. But of course, I guess the Jews voted in Biden too. I think that, again, I am being a Jewish man, being Jewish and from a Jewish family. It doesn't make sense to me that we continue to support those who hate us. I think that it's interesting at what people will do when they think. And of course, do you remember Joseph Stalin, who was very similar to a Mondami type that ended up killing 20 million of his own people? Do we remember how people get these things going by false hope and false belief? To me, I don't understand how, again, I can understand voting for someone I don't like. I don't have to agree with who you vote for, but at least not with communist ideals, not with already built-in hatred in their heart. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I just don't understand how we don't look at what the actual issues are. I find it very troubling, especially when I look at the direction that we're headed in many parts of this country. It's very sad. It's very scary. And I really feel bad for our youth because, listen, I'm old, so it's not going to matter much to me, but I do feel bad for the young Americans, my own children, and of course your children, grandchildren, at the way that we can't seem to get past it, and we can't seem to really understand, and we can't seem to let people speak their opinion without shouting them down. A lot of things don't make a lot of sense, and I worry about the United States of America. I worry about the direction we're headed in, and I hope that you'll worry too. I hope that you'll see that there needs to be some changes in the way we think, the way we teach, and the way we do things. And this is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and of course, football in America. We like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Buffalo Bills. We like the Seattle Seahawks against the Los Angeles Rams. Have a great weekend, everybody. As always, I thank you. We'll see you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update, of course, and then next Sunday with Bubba's Bottom Line. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you later.
Joy of Mom is a platform to connect mothers everywhere with trusted information, practical tools, and a vibrant, family-focused community.
Gold IQ Group, the smartest minds in metals, for all of your precious metals needs.
Capital Trading Group, the introducing broker for serious futures traders.
TRADIER, options trading starting at $10 per month, flat fee.